If you're following along with the multiple videos today, you might notice a bit of a theme on the day, but we don't need to be totally on the nose with it. We've got the Acolyte to go ahead and be the vessel for which subtlety goes to die. But given the fact that we are but a couple of days on the 4th, man, this Tuesday we're supposed to be getting a full hour, 2 whole episodes of a premiere, and then it's going to be trickled out on Disney Plus for nobody to pay attention to in subsequent weeks. Don't know how long this show's going to be going on for. Whenever Disney does anything underneath any of their umbrellas, whether it's a specifically Disney production, a Marvel one, or even a Star Wars one, these shows tend to run 6 to 8 episodes. And you're telling me that you are given a whole bunch of money and the best that you could do is barely 4 hours. It's not even going to be 4 hours of content because they're half-an-hour episodes, and that includes the credits, includes these laborious introductions. So have what, 2 hours and change of the story? But we've seen the marketing surrounding this, and we know you're not really interested in telling a Star Wars story. Okay, you're not interested in telling anything compelling. You're just simply here to further your own pet projects, and people are really tired of this nonsense. And that's why word of mouth of this show coming into its release, it's just so overwhelmingly negative. Everything that they put out in video form gets ratioed to hell and back on YouTube. It gets mocked in the comment sections on Twitter, and I don't know what they're doing over on Instagram. That's just kind of a weird place anyways. But gotten to a point where it's so bad for Lucasfilm that normally they would wait to blame the fans for the failure of a project a couple of weeks after the release. But for the first time ever, they're being proactive about this stuff because this is what they have to offer, okay? The Acolyte, well, what's the story about? Well, it's about the High Republic. It's set 100 years before the prequels. It's like, okay, cool, but what's the show about? We got lesbians! It's like, oh, okay, cool. So this show has been shot and done for quite a long time, and everybody was just kind of wondering. It's like, all right, cool. You can't sit on this for much longer. When are you finally going to release it to just eventually get it off the books? Well, might as well drop it in Pride Month in order to get some additional virtue signaling points, because you ain't going to turn a profit on this, because this is the best foot that you can put forward. Okay, we got a lesbian character. Great. Well, Disney Company and Lucasfilm's upcoming Star Wars series, The Acolyte, is confirmed to be featuring a lesbian character. New York Times Brooks Barnes reports Jodie Turner-Smith plays a lesbian leader of the Regal Coven of Witches. That's cool, man. So now we got different types of witches. So this is outside of, so what, there's now 3 different types of soft magic systems in the Star Wars universe, where you have the Jedi with the Force, you have those stupid Night Sisters, and now you're just going to have a different type of witches that we've never heard of before. And this is supposed to be, at least in the live action sense, the furthest back we've ever gone with the story. Oh great, they shouldn't be canon destroying it all, and people were worried about them potentially screwing up Yoda and maybe Darth Sidious. This has even bigger world building implications, but that's all right, guys, because Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy says she told Acolyte creator, "You've written a great Star Wars show. Now go write a Leslye Headland show." What is a Leslye Headland show? Because we've heard what she holds near and dear to herself. It's just mostly herself. So what? Is this supposed to be a story about a young recruiter of Jedis who ends up taking them to a Jabba the Hutt-like character? Is that a Leslye Headland show? Jesus, because we heard the dumb stuff that Kathleen Kennedy said. It's basically, diversity is more important than anything else, and it's tough for women because Star Wars is a male brand. It's like, yeah, it used to be. Now it's a girl brand. Because A, it's Disney, and B, that's the only people that you employ, so de facto, that's what it is. And it also went from being the most popular and profitable cinematic franchise in history to an absolute dumpster fire that everybody mocks. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy has revealed that in an effort to help breathe new life into an all but completely dead franchise. She directly advised the Acolyte creator and showrunner Leslye Headland to make the upcoming Star Wars series uniquely hers. Oh, this is gonna suck. Kennedy divulged her part in the Acolyte's creation during the recent interview given to the New York Times' Brooks Barnes, which, wow, that interview, it sure was something, huh? In promotion of the series' upcoming premiere, recalling her previous discussions with Headland, Lucasfilm boss told Barnes that after reading early drafts of the script in 2019, this is how long this garbage has been in development for. 5 years, and this is the best that they're gonna have. Holy. She replied to the showrunner's work with the declaration, "You've written a great Star Wars show, Leslye. Now it's time to go write a Leslye Headland show." And this is what we're going to be getting on Tuesday. I know I can't wait. But to be completely honest, right? Like, okay, what is a Leslye Headland show? We've made the jokes, okay? We've known her past, known her lack of creative past. So what is a Leslye Headland show? Well, we don't know for sure, but we know specifically it's unironically going to be woke. Leslye Headland declares people opposed to wokeness are not Star Wars fans. Hey guys, if you ain't woke, you're not a Star Wars fan. Well, I guess now, based on the current output, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Star Wars The Acolyte showrunner, former assistant to convicted felon Harvey Weinstein. Well, hey, you can only get so much mileage out of that because he's going back to court because he won his appeal. Weird. Leslye Headland has declared that people who oppose wokeness in Star Wars are not fans of the franchise. See, it's so strange how we're getting such full court press from the people behind this disaster proactively because, well, they kind of know that a Leslye Headland show or a Star Wars show in general in 2024 isn't appealing to anybody. Headland's comments came in an interview, yes, with the New York Times, who maligned Star Wars fans as misogyny for criticizing the woke DEI casting of the show. We'll get back to that in a second. His example, a single YouTube comment that questioned, why are there so many women, girls, minority characters increasingly dominating the ranks of the Jedi? Ironically, George Lucas made similar comments when he was asked if he was going to be bringing more women into the future of Star Wars in an interview with Starlog in February of '88. So 5 years after the conclusion of the OT, Lucas was asked, are you going to bring more women in for future Star Wars films? He responded, well, what of Princess Leia? We're making a war film. How are you going to put women in it? I think other war films, like The Longest Day, those films. Well, it's your galaxy. I have to go with the rest of the world and still make it believable. I'm not how many women in the rest of the films. That kind of thing that plot dictates. What would Star Wars have been like if Han Solo had been a woman? Well, we're going to be getting that in video game form with Star Wars Outlaws, which nobody's going to play. God, it's almost like Lucasfilm is doing the South Park meme and they're paying the repercussions for it. But that was Lucas's take on it. Okay, what did Leslye Headland have to say about this? As a fan myself, I know how frustrating some Star Wars storytelling has been in the past. I felt it myself. Yes, hello, fellow Star Wars fans. What's your favorite Star Wars? Leslye, you wanna enlighten us on this? I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans. I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans. What in the blue hell are you talking about? I want to be clear. Anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan. I have empathy for Star Wars fans. Let me define what a Star Wars fan is without having to provide any receipts or anything like that, because, yeah, I can never point specifically to any bigots, racists, or anybody perpetuating what you deem being hate speech, but I can just go ahead and tell you, anybody that criticizes my or any of my peers' work, well, they clearly are defined in that box, because I have an idea, Kathleen has an idea, and we are going to go ahead and tell you that the Force is female, the Force is diverse, the Force is inclusive, and you bigots, you people who like what used to be Star Wars, you are no longer fans. I do not have the empathy for you. Nope, no siree Bob. But like I said, we're going to get back to the whole comment of minority characters, women, girls, increasingly dominating the ranks of the Jedi. So we've heard from Kathleen Kennedy, the studio runner. We've heard from Leslye Headland, the showrunner. But what about the cast themselves, okay? Because sometimes, even with the people at the upper echelons running a show, sometimes they can be completely and totally disassociated from what's going on, because if you were to listen to some of the showrunners and directors for House of the Dragon and the after episode breakdowns, you would think that that would be the most intolerably woke show possible. In reality, their work doesn't bore that out at all whatsoever. This could be one of those cases where you have showrunners disassociated from what's actually being done by the talent. But this is Disney. This is Disney Star Wars. So you know they're all going to be ideologically aligned. In Star Wars, the Acolyte actor claims Anakin Skywalker blew up the Death Star, and that recent Disney Star Wars shows did not feature Jedi. Oh, it's idiots all the way down, huh? Star Wars the Acolyte actor Charlie Barnett attempted to paint himself as a Star Wars fan. Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. Kind of looks like he's here for the Prince cosplay, but came across looking completely ignorant about the franchise by claiming Anakin Skywalker blew up the Death Star. Holy Christ. Like, okay, guys, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I've told you this time and time again because I don't want to falsely paint a picture that, okay, I've read through all the EU, okay, I've played every LucasArts game back in the cut. No, I'm not going to tell you I've played more than a handful of Star Wars video games, like the ones that I did play, and I've watched the OT and the prequels. They aren't the films that I'm going to go ahead and grab if it's a slow day and I just want to be entertained. Far from it. But I do understand and respect what that franchise has done for the medium of film, and I don't necessarily think that they're poorly made, okay? Quite the contrary with the OT, 2.5 of the films in the OT and then the prequels, well, they're fun, and Revenge of the Sith is quite good. Even I know that Anakin Skywalker didn't blow up the Death Star, for Christ's sakes. Like, what are you doing, dude? And this wasn't a slip of the tongue, by the way, because here's the quote. Okay? He's doing an interview with several of the other goofs, okay? I don't know who, this demure white girl is in the middle, but I'm sure she's going to be the key to everything. And then you have Leslye Headland's wife. I wish I was joking with that one, but this is what this the very learned individual had to say that everybody's jumping on.
Killed a whole Death Star. How many people died on that? Well, Anakin just killed a whole Death Star. How many people died on that?
Oh no. Oh, okay, cool. But again, it could have been a slip of the tongue, right? That's why I let it play a couple of different times. Did it seem like, okay, maybe depending on what was being talked about before this part of the interview, rather, okay, that could have influenced the way that he was, responding to that. Because sometimes when you're talking for a long period of time, you end up tripping over your words just like that, right? Okay, mixing up a couple of names, and it could have been one of those things where it's like, hey, he's talking about the downfall of Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader, and therefore that's kind of analogous to what we're doing with the Acolyte right here, but we're updating it for a modern audience or whatever kind of crap that they say in these goofy ass interviews. So yeah, he just ended up mixing up a name. Happens all the time. But if he was just simply mixing up a name, he wouldn't double down on his comment.
I did get in trouble for this answer at Star Wars Con. I got heat. Yeah. And in my mind, it's so funny to me because it literally, as a person who's outside and just a fan coming in, that was what was so beautiful and interesting to me.
God, he's talked for 14 seconds and he's had absolutely nothing to say. But you can see, based on the wardrobe, these are on different days, by the way. Okay, so just brace yourself.
People have been talking to me online about how Darth Vader is such a bad person. It's very clear, and it's very well established from those actions. But if you can't look and see that Anakin blowing up the Death Star possibly killed millions and millions of people, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this right now.
You should just shut up.
Then it's just,
Oh my God. Yeah. And then the chick that's right next to her is like, okay, just shut up. But that's not so much. It's like, oh my God, you're getting basic facts about Star Wars incorrect. It's one of those, you're saying such a controversial thing because there were millions of people on the Death Star. I think it's staff. Like if you go and look at Wikipedia, I think there's only a few 100,000 people. So he's out here claiming that, the explosion of the Death Star caused something like, 6 million deaths. Meanwhile, it's somewhere closer to 250,000. But the guy's a boob, okay? The actors are idiots. The showrunners are idiots. So are the people calling the shots. So why would anybody anticipate this is going to do anything for the health of Star Wars? Why would anybody think that this is going to do anything for the health of Disney Plus, where this is going to be streaming for a couple of weeks and then subsequently forgot, just like Echo before it, and just like Agatha coming out, what is it, September 20? I've even forgot at this point in time. Their inability to properly name their show, trying to spin that as, hey guys, guess what? Agatha's been messing with this completely finished show that has been in the can for over a year. Her completely changing the name all the time on a bi-monthly basis. That was totally our idea, okay? That was our attempt at viral marketing. We've got the big brain over here. That's going to be yet another disaster. More brand damage for Marvel, but we've got to talk about Marvel here in another video. This is all about Star Wars and the fact that this once great franchise can't do anything right. But okay, for as much as nobody's looking forward to the Acolyte, I would have to think, even in their deepest, darkest, most delusional state over at Lucasfilm, they've got to have internal numbers realizing that nobody's going to be paying attention to this. But at least the good thing, right? The good thing that we have is it's not going to end up costing that much money, right? Oh, the budget is $180 million. Oh, no, it's 8 episodes. 30 minutes, took 4 years to make. The best thing that we have outside of all of the fan attacks is it takes place about 100 years before the Phantom Menace. Fantastic. Hey, Yoda might do a cameo. This thing is such trash, bro. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.